Hello, my name is Ashley Cervantes and I am here to discuss about home and school connections in my district. I did answer some of these questions. Not only did I answer them, but I also spoke to my mentor teacher and other teachers that are in the school that I work in, and to see how cultural diversity is in our district. Culture means to me is a person values, beliefs, perception, and relationships of where they come from, and basically representing their country, and it allows them to kind of show others of who they really are. Cultural influences allows us to think about others' beliefs, values, customs, and traditions that they would like to share and show others around them. Now, just in case if I'm looking down or looking to the side, it's because I am looking at my notes. Some cultural influences that I would use in teaching and learning is it is important for us teachers to understand their cultural background, because everyone is different. Everyone may come from a different country. Like, for example, Mexico. Some people will be from different areas of Mexico, and somehow, even though we still speak Spanish, there are some words that we do use differently, and it is noticeable whenever you do talk to someone that they say, hey, you're from over here, you're not, like, yes, I would be considered as Mexican, but I would also be considered of what country I grew up in and what city I grew up in, I mean. Now, of not only understanding a person's cultural background is while wanting to make them feel comfortable. And another thing I would do as a teacher is incorporate students' cultural backgrounds into the learning. And for example of that being would be a reading story about Mexico and explaining like Dia de los Muertos, explaining a tradition that happens over there every year. That is to open up to a child to see what holiday it is and what does it represent to us Hispanics, mainly Mexicans. What does it represent to them? Other stories from different children that have cultural backgrounds would be pretty cool as well. So that is one thing that I would like to do in teaching and learning of cultural influences. Cultural competence is the knowledge of the diverse cultures and to appreciate for cultural diversity. Now, cultural competence for me would be a major thing if I'm hoping in the future that I would be a bilingual teacher. So having cultural competence in my classroom would be a main thing, because I would feel that I can understand and relate to the students and how their expectations are, and the children and I will have very similar backgrounds. And I would do my best on assisting students by making sure that they have accommodations or modify the lesson. For me particularly, if I do ever work with bilingual kids in the future, I would want to incorporate English and Spanish into the lesson. So maybe one week it'd be English week and then the following week it'd be Spanish week, and we would rotate back and forth. When it comes to incorporating students' cultural values and beliefs being integrated appropriately into teaching and learning would be like a fun little math lesson. I would like to incorporate different foods, like mainly candies, Mexican candies that I would have eaten as a child, and incorporate that into like math lessons, if it's addition, if it's subtraction, if it has anything to do with money wise, I would do that, and I know that the kids will love it. And I would even kind of bring that into the classroom by buying my own and sharing that with the kids, and I would even let them, after the fun lesson, let them eat the candy. The role of culture in student learning is a major thing, as it helps students make the connections to their personal lives into when they're learning in the classroom. Now, the next question is, how do school and classroom environments influence language acquisition, and what steps do you take to make it make it an inclusive environment. Now, at the school that I currently work at has only one bilingual class in each grade level, and the rest are non-bilingual classes. So there are 5 teachers for each grade level, and those 4 teachers are non-bilingual, and then 1 teacher for bilingual. Now, for my students, I would make sure and tell them, like, hey, not only interact with your class, but also interact with others in your grade level. So an example would be is having the students maybe talk to others during recess time, during enrichment, and during cafeteria and lunchtime, or in the mornings when they're getting breakfast. At any time, as long as they interact with others and they feel comfortable, and they can even also share their cultures with other students and explaining where they come from and how it is over there in their country and how it is very different from over here. Because whenever it comes to new students coming in, they're scared, they're terrified, they're shy. And so maybe talking to students and saying, like, hey, my country's different, we don't do this like at all. So it would help for also the non-bilingual students to be like, hey, like, it's okay, like, here, I'll help you. Of them communicating with each other and collaborating, it will definitely help the students feel comfortable, and maybe they may notice that they have more things in common. Maybe they'll notice that things are different, but as long as they're communicating, that is really important. Some strategies to support and celebrate cultural diversity is I will definitely love to do Latin projects. I feel that of doing a project that has to deal with a Latino or Latina role model of someone that they looked up to, and I would like to have them presented outside the classroom, so then other non-bilingual kids can come by and read off their posters and read what they have and understand why this person chose their role model. And I would also like to collaborate with families and culturally adaptable lessons and encourage students to speak basic phrases in English, so like hello, how are you, I'm doing okay, and things like that. Now, some strategies that I would use for different strengths, needs, and identities of all EL students, including special education or special needs, is if a student who I see is strong in English, who knows English very well in reading and writing, I would have them buddy up with a student that just needs a little extra boost in their English and kind of helping them out. I wouldn't say like giving them the answers, but no, like as in helping them, kind of speaking to them in English so they can respond back in English. Now, I would like to try my best, and I would love to do this too, is having group discussions with students and kind of giving them a little bit of personal life and trying to relate to them of how I grew up, and maybe hoping that maybe they can tell me of things, what they go through, and seeing if there's some things in common. Me personally, I would love to give them advice and tell them like, hey, maybe you should do this, you should do that, of trying to be good and focusing on school. The importance of understanding the social, emotional, and cultural needs of students when establishing class routines and procedure. I think the main thing is having structure in the classroom. I have to also take into consideration that some students do not have structure at home because their parents are working long hours or their parents are never there. So kind of creating a safe environment and a safe space for them to thrive in the classroom will help. And in trying to do that, I would make them feel comfortable in the classroom. I wouldn't want to point them out or anything like that. I would want them to feel safe and to feel loved. Definitely feel loved, for sure. Now, when it comes to communicating families, I will definitely like to have like a newsletter or like a reminder app, and sharing that with the parents and telling them like, hey, to kind of communicating them of how their child is. I know for the district that I work in, they have school status where we can text parents or call parents just in case of any emergencies or anything like that. I would also like to do conference times with the parents, and it can be during my conference period or during after school or in the morning, or if they need to, they can do a Zoom meeting in any way possible, because I understand that, you know, parents have their lives, they're busy, and, you know, I understand, so I would want to check in with the parent and tell them how their student is doing. Now, the effective practices that help family engagement that will support and highlight the assets of home language is having consistent communication with the parents, because they need to be fully aware of what is going on in the classroom since they cannot be in the classroom with the child. So I want to let them know of how the child is doing and how some learning goals that the kids have, and maybe seeing if the parents, if possible, can work with the child at home. Like, for example, for home language, I understand some students, they will speak English in the classroom but speak Spanish at home. So if parents can try at least in speaking to their child in English, if they can, if they cannot, then it's okay. Then maybe encouraging the student to read books that are in English. And I understand if the parents can't understand or anything like that, but as at least trying to, it would make a huge difference in the student's life and making a huge difference in the student's learning. Now, thank you for watching my video. I hope that this helps of understanding cultural diversity and explaining of what I can do with EL students in the classroom. And I cannot wait to be a future teacher. I am very excited. I only have 1 year left, so, well, a little more than a year, but I'm still very excited to be able at some point to have my own classroom. So I cannot wait, and again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.